exquisite light of God, innocence and perfection of all life. Accept in this moment, invite in this moment the divinity that is within. And in this acceptance, the willingness to release all perceptions of limitation and separation. All perceptions of difficulties, problems, in any way that are held and in this moment, the willingness to truly be here in this moment, the willingness to be present, letting go of all thoughts of the past and the future, letting go of even the next moment, just willing to just rest here, resting, allowing, being as the divine, in the divine, with the divine. Within this moment, inviting humanity to enter into the one heart, to invite humanity into one heart. The willingness within your own awareness to surrender everything that you thought you knew about humanity, and thus what you thought about yourself. Recognizing for just a moment that there is only one heart and one breath, living life. The willingness in this moment to surrender the belief of them and me. Just the willingness and allowing the divine alchemy of love to transforming the concepts and perceptions of separation. Allowing the power of love to unravel all illusions of differences, all illusions of good and bad and right and wrong, more and less, allowing everything to return to its natural state of awareness, of perfection. Wholeness and holiness, beginning with the heart. And in this moment, the willingness to breathe deeply and fully. And noticing possibly that you forgot to breathe today fully and deeply, but now coming back into awareness, returning to the willingness to breathe. And as you breathe, the willingness to fill every cell, every molecule with sacred breath. Breathing into the throat, inviting the throat to open, willing to receive love, transformation, healing. Breathing into the neck and the shoulders, letting go of all perceptions of needing to hold anything in separation. Breathing into the spine, inviting the spine to relax and be the vehicle of love, the vehicle of divine movement. Breathing. Breathing into the heart, inviting the heart to come forward, open and available, staying present while the heart is invited to open, staying present and aware in this moment. As you allow the heart to come forward, undefended, unprotected, affirming in this moment that there is nothing to protect, nothing to defend. And in this willingness to not be defended, the willingness to let go of all concepts of figuring things out, which only becomes another defense. Willing to be available, present as love. And breathing into the belly, surrendering all the organs into the hands of God. Willing everything to be returned as the vehicle of love, the expression of love. And breathing into the hips and thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet. Everything surrendered. And affirming the prayer of the heart. And willing to be the instrument of love. And let this body serve as this vehicle of love. Expressing love. Demonstrating peace and harmony. Offering tranquility and ease and joy. And breathing. Breathing into the emotional body, surrendering the emotional body into the hands of God. Willing for the emotional body to express joy and harmony and compassion. Ease, tranquility. Surrendering everything that has been expressed through the emotional body into the hands of God. Surrendering the mind into the hands of God. Affirming that all the energy bodies be the vehicle of love, the communion of love. Surrendering. And in this moment affirming that here in this infinite circle we are one. All of humanity here in this circle of love, this infinite circle of love as one. Bringing that love, bringing the truth of love, and affirming for all of humanity the infinity of oneness. Willing for this blessing to pour onto all of humanity and remembering affirming this sanctuary is filled with love. This sanctuary is in complete devotion of all love. Affirming. There's only one presence, is the life force of God. Within this life force we live and breathe and move as one heart, one breath. Affirming within the heart that this universe is all of love. There are no enemies. There are no problems. There are no differences. Only love. Allow this prayer, this hymn of love, to fill humanity's heart through your yes, through your dedication. I put myself in the hands of God, only love is real. Divine grace, divine love, divine breath, divine truth, only love is real. I've put myself in the heart of God, only love is true. Divine breath, divine heart, divine truth, divine grace, only love is real. I put myself in the hands of God, only love is true. Divine strength, divine truth, divine love, divine breath, only love is real. It is completely possible that in every moment you affirm that only love is true. No matter what presents itself as having other meanings, to keep coming back, that only love is real, only love is true, to breathe into that divine truth, to reaffirm again and again. It doesn't matter how many times, willing for it to be 1,000,000 times if that is necessary, but saying yes to love, yes to God, yes to one heart and one breath, yes to returning, to remembering, to accepting. I must love. I must love with my whole heart. The Blessed Mother is the one who has called me to remember love with all of my heart. Let me answer that call. Let me answer that invitation to remember love in this moment. Oh, my Blessed Mother, Divine Mother, you are holding all of humanity in the truth of forgiveness, and we are here to remember love. We forgive all perceptions, all seeming differences right now. In this moment, I must love. Divine Mother, we say yes to forgiveness, true forgiveness of the mistaken identity of separation. We say yes to remembering to love, love in the heart, love in every moment. derramar no coração. A Virgem Mãe foi quem me deu para eu amar ao Senhor Deus. Ó Virgem Mãe, Divina Mãe, pois nos perdoe nos filhos seus, para nos amar ao Senhor Deus. Divino Pai, Rei Criador, vos nos perdoe nos pecadores, para nos amar com grande amor. Sometimes there may be a misperception that I'm loving so fully, and yet in every moment the willingness to say yes to more love, to say yes to expanding, to bursting, to accepting over and over and over again. Yes, I'm willing to love with my whole heart, leaving nothing, to be held as separate, as a separate identity. I say yes, yes. And I'm willing to trust that I will be taken into that truth of love as I say yes, yes, yes. As the beloved that is known as Hafiz continues to offer love, healing, with all masters, one master, one love. The sandalwood tree. The sandalwood tree shares its lovely scent with anyone who comes near. God is like that. Does the tree ever think to itself, I'm not going to offer my fragrance to that man over there because of what he did last night? Or to that woman who neglected her child because of what we may have ever done? That is not the way of God to hoard. God is simply just there, emanating freely what is. If we wish to grab a handful or fill the basket in the eye, don't hold back. Have no reservations. Take full advantage of God's attributes. Exploit love's nature and that tender part of the soul. This offering is calling to remember in every moment that there is nothing to hold back when you're offering love. That if the mind wants to play a game and unconsciously try to portion love out, try to hold back and give what the ego has decided is correct, maybe giving a sliver, but assessing each beloved to their worth. There is a sense within of pain. The pain that humanity feels comes through that assessment, trying to hold back, trying to assess the worth of another. As Hafiz is offering, I am not going to offer my fragrance to that man over there because of what he did last night. And this is what every beloved is so afraid that everyone else is thinking about them. And it goes round and round. Or to that woman who neglected her child. Does she deserve love? Has she really destroyed something that was made of purity, of God? The judgment and the holding back of love is a pain within. The judgment and the holding back of love is how everyone suffers. And there is no suffering in God. And there is no holding back in God. So at the same time that everyone is in the seeming spiritual journey, there is this split. One side praying to remember the truth of oneness, praying to be released from the pain of separation. And then on the other side of the split is the judgment that is going on all the time of assessing who has worth and who doesn't have worth. Not realizing that the belief of not having worth is coming from within and being reflected out. Every beloved in the world, every action in the world is a reflection of the meaning that you give to it. It has no place else to come from. So the healing has always been right within you in your choice. The sandalwood tree shares its lovely scent with anyone who comes near. What is it in the sandalwood tree that keeps the sandalwood tree from making assessments of who deserves to receive the fragrance and who doesn't? It gives freely. It gives without conditions. Every flower that offers its perfume gives without conditions. When you feel the breeze doesn't say to you, "Oh, have you behaved yourself today? Are you deserving of this breeze?" No, the breeze is God. The breeze is aware of offering love to everyone. And this is the calling, the constant calling to let go of the self-punishment through judgment. That is the habit. It's a habit that has seemed extremely justified. Everybody that's walked in this world, that's incarnated and not remembered or not been aware of the wholeness of God, every beloved that walks in this world walks in this same habit. This same belief, and the story grows and grows and grows, gathering evidence of justification. The justification of protection, the justification of caution and suspicion. And then pretty soon in that gathering of justification, you find yourself behind prison wall. And that prison wall then becomes suffocating. And then the conscious journey begins. There must be something else outside these walls. There must be another world that I can't see. And the world that you can't see, then the walls that fall down with the release of all suspicions and judgments and opinions. And at first the yes is timid. At first the yes is cautious, afraid from all the beliefs that have been carried of pain and suffering, and all the beliefs and agreements in the world that say this is a world of pain and suffering. It's all that there is. So you enter cautiously. But at some point, you have to really make the decision to let the caution go. You have to make the decision to let the caution go. Only you can make that decision, because it is your world of caution. Does the tree ever think to itself, I'm not going to offer my fragrance? How many times in all your lifetimes have you thought, I am not going to offer help, I'm not going to offer love, I am not going to offer my heart. I am going to be cautious. Now is the time for forgiveness of that old, tired defense system. Because that defense system keeps you from receiving the fragrance from the tree. It's so upside down. The belief in suffering and pain and the belief of separation is so upside down. You believe that the caution, that the holding back makes sense. You believe it because you see the cause and effect within the world of what you perceive to be happening. That you believe that you are safer by protecting yourself. That it actually gives you a safer world. And it's completely upside down. The safety is in opening the heart, of offering your fragrance to everyone, offering everything to everyone. The key of offering is that the tree is not asking for anything back. The tree gives freely. The tree isn't looking for, what are you going to give me in exchange for this fragrance? You're going to make me bigger, more leaves, better roots, better spot, more sun, more rain. No. The tree just offers. Because the tree is the divine. The tree isn't holding a thought system of separation and limitation. how often in just a thought, a reaction, have you thought of that woman who neglected her child and found a place of upset, bitterness, disgust, and not in that moment been available to see the beloved? That this story of neglect is humanity's identity. That this is humanity's belief in scarcity. The belief that love is not possible. That every beloved who has ever neglected another, that every beloved who has ever done something is living in the belief of scarcity, is living in the belief of unworthiness. Every beloved that has either in action or in thought, and this includes every beloved in action or in thought that has condemned another in any way, is believing that there is no God, that there is no oneness, that there is lack, that there is no innocence. And the facade continues. Now, in every beloved, there is a screaming, no, I cannot accept that every beloved is innocent. There's too much evidence. There's just too much. Waves and waves and waves of guilt. Waves and waves and waves of condemnation. And all the while, the innocence and the truth, the beauty, the perfection, the perfume of love is right underneath that mirage, that agreement. And the way to the perfume, the way to that beauty and perfection is only through faith, is only through trust, because the facade is so believable. It's so believable. And it's the most believable within. The belief of unworthiness, the belief of self-hatred, the belief of self-loathing, it touches everything in the world. Sometimes there's a belief held that I can think all the thoughts I want and it doesn't affect anybody else. I can spin out in my own mind and make up my own world of pain and suffering, and it doesn't affect anybody else. But there's only one. And that movement, just like the perfume from the tree, it moves and it permeates into everything and everyone in agreement. In truth, it can't hurt anyone, it can't hurt the truth of anyone. But the world that's being made, the Maya that's being made, every beloved is contributing to that. So then the mind thinks, well, my healing isn't going to make any difference. My remembering my yes to God won't make a difference. All of this pain will still be so prevalent. It's not possible that when you offer your heart and you offer your perfume and you offer love, it's not possible that it is a small element. Love is the power. Love transforms everything. And the mysteries of healing are so beyond the ability to conceptualize that again, that trust, that faith will take you to your yes. Affirming that when a beloved is healed, thousands heal with them. Who are those thousands? Doesn't really matter who the thousands are, it's all the same. But the thousands are every beloved that you have ever known. The thousands are every beloved that you have ever passed walking in the street. The thousands are those beloveds who are everywhere, and those beloveds who are ready to say yes and are waiting for that light to spark within them. There must be another way. When you had that awareness, there must be another way. This can't be the truth. However, that prayer shows up within you, that questioning. When you had that awareness came from healing that was occurring. You were in the wave of another beloved's yes. The mysteries of healing are so beyond what can be grasped by the mind. That's why it's always trust and faith that open all the doors. When you try to figure it out, you can forget it. It's not possible. It's not possible to figure out healing based on the world that is of limitation. It has to come from a place, you have to step into that trust. And of course, that trust, that faith, is the last place that the ego wants you to go. The very last place. Because the entire ego structure, which is a false self, a made-up identity, it's all based on knowing. Knowing this world. Knowing the world of limitation and separation. That's all that it knows. It has no connection to reality. So when you step into trust and faith, you are letting go of knowing. That's what trust is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to look on this. I don't know what this means. I don't know How to get there? I don't know what anything means. That's trust. Trust is that exquisite place that puts your life into the hands of the masters who came before you. Not interpreting the teachings, not trying to figure out what the teachings mean or trying to make a teaching fit into something that you already know. But the willingness to drink in a teaching. The willingness to be smitten again and again and again. Every day. To affirm that when you enter a teaching, when you enter into prayer, when you are in that divine communion, that's your nourishment. That's the gift of life. To really honor that teaching, that sacred truth, and to be in as much gratitude as possible, to bring all of your energy into gratitude as much as possible. Oh, thank God. Thank God in this lifetime. Thank God. That there are such blessings and that the grace and perfection of God is always so available. Every sacred teaching. So in this sacred teaching that's talking about the sandalwood tree. The sandalwood tree shares its lovely scent with anyone who comes near. Every moment of every day is the opportunity to be with that blessing and offering. Now the mind that would want to analyze and compartmentalize would say, well, we don't have sandalwood trees here in this neighborhood, so I can't receive that perfume. Stop. Pay attention. Not attention with the mind of figuring out, but the attention of the heart to actually stop. And in the moment, be willing to be available for the blessing of the perfume of God in the moment. It's available. It's always available. Now maybe the ego would say, well, I'm not really, I don't have that gift of being able to commune with God. I don't have that talent, because the ego holds it as a talent that has to be somehow procured somehow. It isn't a talent. It's a willingness. It's a willingness to let the mind go and to open the heart as deeply as possible and to receive what is in the moment, right here, right now, available. The other morning, I came into the sanctuary and the sanctuary chairs were set up for Satsang. And in that moment, all the chairs were filled with divine beings. Just hanging out in love. And the ego might say, oh, well, you can see that because you're awake or you have that talent, that gift. No. No. It's there for you. It's there for you to call you and bring you in and in and in and in to that divine communion. But if you're busy, if you're busy in your mind with all thoughts and judgments and figuring things out, that's your world. That's what you experience, is your own mind, your own perceptions. It doesn't mean that those divine beings aren't there, probably walking right in front of you, walking next to you. The perfume of all the beauty of God is being given to you in that moment, but you may not be available because you're too busy in your own mind. There's a place in healing that occurs that is at the same time upsetting to the ego identity and disturbing to the opening of love in the sense of the interpretation of it. When you begin to see your judgments and concerns and your perceptions, when you begin to see them, possibly seeing that the mind can be filled with judgments and opinions, and it can be racing all the time. When you first begin to see that, when it's not so unconscious, there can be a really strong reaction of, oh, this is horrible. I'm really nuts. How am I ever going to stop this flow of thoughts and opinions and strategies? Forgetting in that moment that all that you're called to do, even if you call it a doing, all that you're called to is to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't to make the thoughts go away. It's to begin to recognize that they have no value, that they aren't helping you, that they aren't serving love in any way. It would be impossible for you that made up the mind and made up all those thoughts to control those thoughts. The ego that made up the thoughts is not going to be the controller of the thoughts. That's silly. But you can begin to step back. You can begin to want to hear the voice of love.
Mm.
You can begin to want to smell the perfume. And you can begin to want to have every beloved smelling the perfume. And you can begin to want to offer perfume to every beloved. The perfume is your heart.
Mm.
The perfume is your blessings. Not the blessings of, I'm a spiritual being and I am now going to bless you because I am
Mm.
a big wigginess. It's the heart. That wants to see the beauty that is every beloved. Sometimes beloveds begin with those that they don't have as much disturbance with. But oftentimes, the spirit of love will take you in your yes to the ones that are going to be the deepest healing for you, that hold the most resistance for you. This is not a curse. This is a blessing. It means that you're ready. You are ready to go deeply into the truth.
Mm.
That you are ready. That the soul has spoken. You may not be aware of it, but the soul has spoken and said, I want this. I want to remember. I don't want to spend another lifetime wandering in pain and suffering. I want this. I want to remember. And so those beloveds who come to you, whether from the past or present time, it doesn't matter. They're all really from the past. Sometimes a beloved that shows up in your life that seems so difficult is actually an accumulation of all the beloveds from your past, or a representation of one or more beloveds from the past. They represent that. That's why they trigger you. They trigger you because they have an agreement with you of a disturbance, of the belief of unworthiness, and they become that reflection. They become that divine gift of healing. Who are these beloveds and why do they come? Because the soul has asked for this healing. In this world, we watch beloveds hating each other for color, for culture, for status. And so many beloveds stand back and say, oh, I would never do that. I would never hate because of color. I would never hate because of culture or status. At every judgment of another, every opinion of another is all the same. And when we judge those who hold that hatred of color and status and culture, we are joining them in the belief that it's real, in the belief that it's true, in the belief that it's legitimate in some way. That's why these beloveds come into your life, is because every single beloved is the Christ. There are no exceptions. None. None. Doesn't matter. None. And just like the tree that offers its perfume. It doesn't hold back. I must love. I must love with my whole heart. The Blessed Mother is the one who has called me to love. I must love. And I must forgive. I must forgive the belief that there are any beloveds who are not worthy of love and the truth of the beauty and perfection of God. This mirage, this false identity, this illusion of pain and separation will not heal, will not disappear until you are ready to accept every beloved as the divine. That is the healing. That is the freedom. There's a beloved who asked today, is it really possible to be free? Of course. It's guaranteed. Because only freedom is actually true. Every master that has woken up truly has done so in the name of love, but in the name of humanity, in the name of refusing any differences, of refusing to see anything but love. The door opens to freedom through that refusal to acknowledge others' sins in the world. The fear that it evokes is very visceral. The fear that it evokes to be undefended screams no, screams that is ridiculous, that is stupid, that is insane. When you hear screaming that says it is insane to see the beauty and perfection of everyone, you can be guaranteed that that is the voice of a lie, the voice of the ego, determined to hold the world of pain and separation in place. To take that leap of faith, to take that leap of trust, to go against that voice, is the healing itself. It isn't a battle. It's that you are so focused on the truth, that you are so focused on the promise that you don't hear it anymore, that you don't listen anymore. And with every beloved that you are asked to open your heart to, that focus strengthens. With every beloved that you are asked to bring forgiveness to, the forgiveness is, I have made up a mistaken identity. I forgive myself for a false identity of pain and suffering and wrongdoing in everyone that I know and everyone that I meet. I forgive myself for any wanting to hold any beloved as wrong or bad or condemned. And as you invite that forgiveness, the screaming no can't be heard anymore. And you don't see it as insanity anymore. Because everyone that you forgive the false identity that you have given them, everyone that you are able to step out of that defense and open your heart and say yes to God. Because with every beloved that you are offering forgiveness to, you are saying yes to God, because every beloved is God. And with every beloved that you offer that forgiveness to, the walls of your prison are crumbling, they're melting. It is the way of freedom. It's not its opposite. It's not upside down. It is the way of freedom. And it goes against everything that the world agrees with. The world even went so far as to make a reasonable facsimile of forgiveness. The reasonable facsimile of forgiveness is, I will forgive you because I am magnanimous. But I don't forget. And I still hold you as wrong and bad and separate. Forgiveness is so intertwined with trust, because as you forgive, you are opening a door. But the door can't open until you offer the forgiveness, because it is actually the judgment and condemnation that is holding the door shut. When you forgive, your heart is healed of the pain and the suffering of the condemnation. Because truly, everyone that we believe that is wrong and bad is a reflection of what we believe about ourselves. It's only one. There aren't two. Every beloved is us. This can't be understood with the mind. It just isn't possible. The belief that there is someone sitting there and someone sitting here, and that they're different and separate, is the lie. Completely. But take that leap of faith. And it is a leap of faith. And it's the only real way, because you can't prepare yourself for it. You can't prepare to open your heart with logic. You can't prepare to open your heart with more protection in some way. Sometimes there are circumstances where you open your heart in controlled circumstances so that you get a peek at what it's like to open your heart. So, Satsang is one of those places. Communion, community is one of those places. Retreats are some of those places. But eventually, you have to step into the world and open your heart to the ones who come to you for forgiveness, for blessings, for healing. Because there it's your healing. Then you can become the tree that will offer its perfume without restrictions, without judgment, without opinions. We truly want to offer love. There's a beautiful teaching that I was focusing on. Your patience with your beloved is your patience with yourself. Is not the child of God worth patience? Patience is trust. It always comes back to trust. Patience is a manifestation of trust. When you find yourself impatient, you can feel it in the body. It's a place of fear. You might see it as irritation, but that's the cover. The impatience is the fear of being in the world and not having enough defense and not having enough control in your mind. To have patience with the beloved is to have patience with yourself. And is not the child of God worth patience? Patience is beautiful, visceral awareness that when you're not patient, when you are impatient, it is the gift of recognition of where you are, of what's going on in the trance. The impatience is your communication. It can be the gift of spirit, the gift of love, that is offering that awareness to you so that you can recognize your distrust of God, your distrust of safety, your distrust of opening your heart, your distrust of trusting that everything is in perfect harmony and balance, and that there is nothing to try to control and nothing to protect. That you are not here to protect yourself from the world. You are not here to defend yourself against the world. Your world is your perception. The healing is within you. And the relationship to patience and the relationship to impatience, the lack of patience, is one of the divine ways that you can be aware of what you're putting your trust into. You're trusting yourself and what you know in your world and in your past, or are you willing to trust and affirm patience with every beloved? Trusting that everything is in harmony and ease if you will let go. And what is this letting go? It's not the words. It's not a theory. It's not an idea. It's a yes. To surrendering in the moment the belief that there is something to defend. To relinquish ownership. Surrender, let go.
Mm-hmm.
Letting go, surrendering into the hands of God. This is such an important element. So many beloveds say, I let go all day long, but it always comes back. It isn't really letting go. You're just putting it aside. But to surrender it into the hands of God is to relinquish ownership of the belief that there is anything happening, that there is anything to defend. You are actually surrendering ownership. You made it. I'm relinquishing ownership into the hands of God. I say yes. And in that yes, I'm inviting the power of love to show the way. I will step back and let love lead. I say yes. I'm willing to relinquish ownership. I'm willing to offer the perfume of love in this moment and surrender what I think I know and open to that offering. It's a leap of faith. It's a leap of trust. And many times it will truly be a calling to focus on love and the teachings of love and to ignore the screaming of no. I don't want to. And in this moment of relinquishing ownership is the prayer. I would rather be happy than right.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather be happy than right. Because the being right is what is screaming no. Being right says, I believe in my past. I believe I am without love. I believe I am unworthy of love. I believe I am separate. And that relinquishment, that willingness to trust in a new way. And every moment that you accept it, it's a new way. Every moment. The yes is new. And yet, the yes gets stronger and stronger and stronger within. Until that voice of the no starts to fade away. Because now there's laughter saying, I'm not buying it anymore. I'm not believing that voice anymore. There is no pain and suffering in God. There is only the perfume from the sandalwood tree. There is only peace and harmony in the truth of love. I say yes. And inviting all the beloveds into the truth of love that have, in the perception of the world, been bad and wrong and condemned. Because that condemnation has been in everyone. That belief, the belief of condemnation has been in everyone. That's what has made the belief of separation. Thank God I was mistaken. Thank God it wasn't true. Thank God I'm willing to trust a new way. That becomes the prayer. And the doors and windows open. Through the power of love. Through your yes. Doesn't the child of God deserve patience? Yes. this moment. If there's any question.
I have a question. So, in this context, then what of like the feelings that arise in response to another person? Whether it's like anger or sadness or upset or even how can we be with those feelings?
It's still the surrender. Those emotions, those what you're feeling, is the communication from the mind, from the beliefs that you are in danger, and that you are needing to be protected, and that you're right. They're energy that have taken on a form that affirms the belief. To allow them to be surrendered into the hands of God as well as everything, because they're your communication to let you know what you're believing in. It isn't always that the mind just automatically screams at you. You're believing that, this is wrong, this is bad, this is dangerous, this is whatever. The communication is coming through the emotional body. And when that is surrendered into the hands of God, into the Spirit of love to be used by the Spirit to communicate with you what is in the way, then that is your opportunity of surrender. That now the energy has been believed to be harmful and real and valid, and it's done a really good job of expressing that, so much so that everyone in the world becomes a slave to that energy. It runs. It's actually the beliefs that are running, but the belief that, because you're not necessarily connected to those beliefs, that's still in the unconscious a lot of times, not totally, but somewhat. So you believe that this is righteous, that it's valid because the body is saying so. And that emotion, that energy body, is saying the body needs protection. Protect the body because you are the body. So it's all wrapped up together in that identity of separate and temporary and in the influence of being hurt. And then you believe you, but at that moment the you is the identity of separateness, believes, yes, this is righteous, I need to defend myself. I need to protect in some way, I need to prove otherwise. But there's never any healing there. And the true healing is in the surrender and eventually the recognition that this energy doesn't really mean anything. So this comes back to the same teaching as from Yogananda. When the guest is no longer welcome, the guest will leave. I will tell you that walking in the world in the belief of separation, I was a mess of emotional energy. And I saw danger everywhere. Through the perception, I was I believe, the victim and at the mercy of this energy constantly, and constantly in pain and suffering with it. The key is that energy is not coming from out there. The energy is coming from the beliefs. So you're not a victim of the world out there. You're now believing that you're a victim of the world that's being produced within. But it's coming from the belief that you are able to be changed from the perfection, and that you're a body, and temporary, and at the mercy of pain and suffering. When you begin to recognize who do you want to be in charge? Where is the power of love? Where is the power of strength? It's not in being defended. It's in being undefended. So when you begin to make the connection and are willing to make the connection, that's the leap of faith, the leap of trust. That, let's say someone is yelling at you, calling you names, and everything comes up as usual. You can count on it. It's going to be there. It's the response, the reaction. And in that moment, you make a new choice. That you're not going to believe this anymore. That you're going to accept that you are the divine truth of God, and that you are whole and complete and incapable of being damaged. And you call on that truth. And you are willing to recognize, if I am not experiencing peace and harmony in this moment, I'm making something up. This is not a condemnation. It's not, oh, you terrible person, you're making something up. It's not. I'm mistaken. This is the old identity. This is not God's will for me. This is not the truth of God. And I choose love. I choose harmony in this moment. And I choose to recognize that this beloved is not my enemy. That this is a cry for help. That this beloved is lost in pain and suffering. The same pain and suffering that I have believed myself to be lost in. It's one pain. One belief in suffering. I have no enemies. And I am not a victim of the world. It is not God's will for me to suffer. It is not the truth of my innocence. And I refuse and I surrender that belief. It may instantly be gone. Could be. The ego is tenacious. So most often it comes in layers. Most often, because of the belief of levels and the belief of degrees and the fear of disappearing, the journey of remembering usually uses the form, and the Holy Spirit uses the form then in degrees, and it will continue to offer that holy teaching, that opportunity of healing over and over again until one day you recognize, wow, I'm right here, and I'm available. and I'm no longer at the effect of what I thought was happening. And the emotional body is no longer belonging to the beliefs of pain and suffering and limitation. The emotional body is now God's, to express peace and compassion and tranquility and joy. And the energy bodies are healed because there isn't anything to battle with anymore. There isn't any belief that there's anything to battle with anymore. But it's the trust. You've been trusting, as everybody has, you have been trusting in what you've known. Like everybody, you've been trusting in your world. To put your trust into the hands of God, into the teachings of love and harmony and peace and wholeness, is the way to healing. But it is a leap of faith, because it goes against all your evidence. And the evidence is showing up in the emotional body. But it's the most amazing thing when you begin to really see it as just energy, rather than having all this meaning to it. And the meaning that's in it, that you've given it, is the meaning of the past. So you're reliving the past meaning all the time, over and over and over again. But it never changes. It doesn't, sometimes in the belief of healing within the world, there can be the belief of, I think it's getting better. And then all you need is one circumstance that triggers it all again, and you're right back where it started again, because the healing really is in the surrender. That it's coming from the belief of separation. It's coming from the belief of battle and attack, and the belief that you are a body and that you will die, and that you are threatened and you will die. So everything comes back to the same healing, that I cannot die. I am eternal. And I can't conceptualize that. It's the promise and the acceptance of that promise. And that goes against everything that's been learned in this world, to accept a promise, to accept in faith the sacred teachings of eternal life, of wholeness, of oneness, of holiness. And it is a leap of faith. There's no other way around it, really, because it just goes against all the evidence. But that's also why you've been given a beloved that has walked through that fire and come out the other side, because then you can put your faith in that. And you can put your faith in all the divine beings that have walked this earth and come out the other side purposely, intentionally, to serve all of love. So it doesn't become just a complete faith in the sense of nothing tangible. There is that tangible, whether it's your guides, whether it's a teacher, whether it's Jesus. It doesn't matter. It matters in the sense that it's important for you, but the form of it doesn't matter. It's just whatever you can, that you're given to hold on to as your touchstone, as your hand that holds you and takes you there.
Thank you.
Thank you. in the divine, truth of all oneness, finding the willingness in this moment to affirm the willingness to trust a new way, the way of love, every moment, every day, the exquisite possibility of returning completely into the heart and recognizing that you've always been completely the heart. Holding every beloved as the divine, affirming every beloved as the Christ, affirming the oneness of